Hey, good morning, everybody. We're about to start day 2. Today is our climbing day, but today's a little bit warmer than usual. It's a beautiful day, but we're going to get in about 40 something miles and about 5,000 feet of elevation gain. So we'll see how that goes. There is no way to sugarcoat it. Today is going to represent a very tough day in the saddle with 3 very challenging climbs scheduled for us even before we have lunch. Now, while I am no mountain goat and I come from South Florida where I do the majority of my cycling on completely flat roads, I do have some experience as a cyclist with climbing, but particularly surviving and knowing how to take care of myself. So aside from sharing with you guys the video of the Sufferfest and the uncut climbing, along the way I'll share some of my tips on how I survive these types of climbs. So the day started with a nice 9% grade climb right out the gate. We're still on it. And Roberto tells me it's going to be easy today.
It's easy for you, don't worry.
Don't listen to him. Now, while there's nothing pleasant about a 9% gradient climb right out the gate, there's not much that you can actually do about it. And this was kind of like a rude awakening and a little bit of a smack in the face all at the same time, albeit on a very beautiful day with beautiful scenery and decent temperatures as we began the ride. Now, we knew that the gradient in certain sections was going to be tough, but we also knew that very early on we're going to get a little bit of respite. As you can see right here, we've got about a 2%, 3% gradient, but still you've got to give your body an opportunity to adjust. But this brings me to tip number 1. Tip number 1, on days where you're going to be doing long sustained climbs, you've got to make the decision to pace yourself. You've got to manage your effort throughout the day. It helps if you know what's coming ahead. But the only way that you're going to be able to do this is if you manage your efforts and you spread your energies throughout the day rather than going hard, blowing up, trying to recover and go again. Is best if you make the decision to pace yourself.
The color of the sky. It's the sun
Fuerza Azura. Fuerza Azul.
Ah, quella è Forza Azzurri.
Forza Azzurri. Sacco.
So this episode with Lily takes me to tip number 2. gearing, the importance of making sure that you have the right gearing for the terrain that you're going to be tackling. The bikes we had were the Lapierre Zelius 700. They were equipped with Shimano Ultegra Di2. We were running a compact chainring in the front, meaning a 50-34, and we were running an 11-28 cassette in the back, an 11-speed cassette, which for someone with moderate fitness, I'll just use myself as an example, that was more than enough to be able to tackle the gradients that we were going to be facing. It gave me an opportunity to spin when I wanted to spin, and as the gradient began to ease, it also gave me the opportunity to be able to grind a little bit. Well, not grind, but just bring my cadence down a little bit. So the proper gearing allows you to be able to vary your pedaling, going from spinning, you can stand, you can kind of push a little bit if you need to, and it opens up options. Now remember, you cannot out-muscle a decision to have improper gearing on your bike. You cannot out-strategize such a decision either. So very important. Tip number 2, make sure that you're using the proper gearing.
No.
I think that when become wet, produce cooler.
Yeah. Well, let's see if it actually does that. That would be nice.
I have a short, long arm that I use when riding bike. That use these types of
Material?
yes.
Okay.
This is typically Umbria climbing. Less car, really less car. One car each at hour. And no one can help you if happens something. Fine. Go ahead.
What a way to start the day, huh?
Okay, now that we've spoken about the importance of having proper gears, tip number 3 is making sure that you use your gears properly. I've got 2 matrix on the screen. One of them is a % gradient of the climb, so we know how hard the climb is in certain sections, and the other one is my heart rate monitor. And I know, just based on the efforts of the rides that I'm normally on, I can ride in zone 4 as long as I don't dig too deep for a fairly long period of time. So one of the things that I'm doing is I'm making sure that, as I have to put out a lot of effort, I'm making sure that I stay in zone 4, that I do not go into zone 5. Zone 5 would be where my heart rate starts going over 172, 175 beats per minute, and that's where I'm going to be starting to get close to going into oxygen debt, and I do not want that. So every once in a while, as the gradient gets steeper and as my heart rate starts going up, I'm either going to back down my pedaling or I'm going to shift down my gearing so that I can manage my energies and I can manage my heart rate. The way how I use gearing here is I do spend most of my time seated while I climb, but whenever the gradient eases a little bit, I do shift down a little bit, make the tension on the pedals a little bit harder, gives me a little bit of a momentum for when the gradient starts to go, because I'm taking a little bit more speed into that section, and believe me, that helps. So whenever the gradient eases, don't take it as an opportunity to take a break or go on a vacation. shift down a couple, take your speed up a little bit, and then take the momentum into the next ramp without killing yourself. Not sprinting, just taking a little bit more momentum. In sections where I have to stand, one of the things that I'm going to do is I usually shift down 1 or 2 cogs. I stand, I rock the bike back and forth a little bit, then I sit back down, because whenever you stand, your heart rate is definitely going to come up. But those are just some of the things that I do in terms of using gearing to make sure that I can continue to manage my effort. Tip number 4, the importance of using and managing the apex of a turn. Now, caution always needs to be employed whenever you're riding on an open road, being always mindful of obeying all traffic laws, staying on your side of the road, making sure that you don't wander off into the middle of the road or into the next lane regardless of what's going on, because you just have to be mindful of traffic and safety first. With that being said, look for opportunities to gain momentum on climbs, because you have to understand that the engineering of roads simply means the following. On any turn, the inside of the turn is going to have a steeper gradient. That's especially true when you're dealing with areas where there are a lot of switchbacks. Now, one of the things that you'll notice on this climb is that I never wander off over into the oncoming lane to try to take advantage of a shallower apex. I just don't do that. This is an open road. There are cars going by, albeit infrequently, but I'm not going to take an opportunity or take a chance to risk my life. I'm just mindful of it, that whenever I am climbing and I'm on the inside of the turn, that the gradient is going to be a little bit tougher and I need to make some sort of physical adjustment either with my gearing or with my pedal stroke. Just like I have the understanding that whenever I'm on the outside of the turn, that the gradient is going to be a little bit more shallow, and it's something that I can take advantage of to gain momentum, to maybe shift down a couple gears, relaunch, and take some momentum into the next ramp. So the importance of learning about how to use apex is tip number 4. tip number 5. Actually, tip number 5 is to give the video a like. If you're enjoying the video, the content, the information that we're bringing, you can help us out a great deal, help us to grow and to help in supporting the channel by simply giving a like, subscribing to the channel, leaving a comment in the section below, or even sharing the video with others. It would help us out a lot. In any event, there actually is a tip number 5, and tip number 5 is don't eat in the middle of a climb. You need to either eat before the climb or eat after the climb. Now that might seem like it's not a big deal, but believe your heart can do one of two things really well. It can either pump blood and oxygen to your legs so that you can pedal the bike, or it can pump blood to your stomach to help you digest foods. But it's not going to do both of those things really well at the same time. You do not want to deprive your legs of the oxygen that they need and the blood flow that they need to help you power through the climb. But at the same time, you do not want to leave undigested foods in your stomach while you're in the middle of a climb, because that'll wreak havoc on your body later on. So trust me on this one. Don't ask me how I know. Don't eat in the middle of a climb. Either plan to eat before the climb, plan to eat after the climb. That way, everybody, your legs, your stomach, and your heart are very happy. Tip number 6, I climb with my hands on the tops so that I can maximize my breathing. I bend my shoulders back, I spread my elbows out, I keep my mouth slightly open because I'm not trying to be arrow, I'm trying to make sure that I can breathe properly. So hands on the tops for climbing. That was the first climb done. Exactly 2 miles. The gradient seemed like it was between 8 and 10%. Took 22 minutes to finish it. That was right out the gate with no warm-up. I gotta check and see what gears I'm using, but I'm maxed out in my sprocket in the back, and it's hot but beautiful, and I'm thankful to be doing this. descended off the second climb, we ended up in an area of Lake Trasimeno. Lake Trasimeno, which is a huge lake, is actually the 4th largest lake in Italy, and in the surrounding area offers a lot of restaurants. We saw a lot of people walking, just hanging out and enjoying the day. For us, we entered into this little area where we were able to get ice cream and refresh ourselves before we head off to the final climb. But lo and behold, being a South Floridian, we pull in here, and what's staring at us? Nothing more than a Cuban flag. And as Gladys said, you can find a Cuban flag with people in business anywhere in the world you go. Shout out to my Cuban fam. And tip number 7, and our final tip for the day, is don't look for the end, particularly when you're doing climbs with a lot of switchbacks. If you are looking for the end behind every switchback, you're going to get your heart broken every time you go around another bend and it's not the end. Dig in, pace yourself, stay relaxed, and enjoy the climb. But definitely don't look for the end, because the end will come.
Viva my e-bike! Woo! Louis, how you feeling?
I feel fantastic.
No words.
I feel like $1 million.
Yeah.
I feel like the good cyclist.
How was it, buddy?
It was a tough climb, but we got through it.
Well, you've
We
done
got through it.
3 tough climbs this morning.
3 tough climbs.
Stuff.
I feel good.
Now a good Italian lunch.
Yes, sir, and beer.
Well done. How was it for you?
How was it for me? It was wonderful. Because I have an e-bike. So I recommend an e-bike, okay? It's not easy. If you're not strong, get an e-bike.
Well, look,
Wonderful bike.
That's a tough climb, even on
Yes.
an e-bike, I think you'd say.
Yeah, you still have to pedal, but it's a big help.
Yeah.
It's a big help. I wouldn't have done it without it.
Great stuff.
I'm saying the truth.
Well done, Gladys. Good
Yeah.
climb.
Thank you.
Lunch now.
Lunch now.
Hey!
Mamma mia.
Woo!
Jaime, tú eres un bárbaro.
How are you, buddy?
Oh, bye. That heart is telling me no more. Thank you, guys. I love it. I die, but I love it.
Well done, mate. That's absolutely fantastic.
Thank you, sir.
Mia cara,
Muriéndome. Dying.
how are you doing?
Still alive.
What do you think to our Italian climbs?
They're tough. We were not ready.
Oh, come on, you're a triathlete.
No, but not this kind of hills. These were too long. They don't end.
Excellent. Well done, Lillian.
Thank
Bit
you.
of Italian lunch for you.
Thank you.
Da 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 da